For me, home is where I find inspiration, like in Rome or by antiquity. It's just nice to talk to the people. They're always in contact. The second time you shop somewhere, they'll recognize you and say, "No, you must take these tomatoes." That's why I love it here.
I came to Berlin 15 years ago, and it's a city where there's always something happening. That energy fascinated me, and I said I definitely want to stay here.
German sculptor Janine von Thüngen lives in a villa on the outskirts of Rome, where sculptures decorate the grounds. Catacombs which date back to antiquity can be found underneath the house.
What fascinated me here was using the ancient past to make contemporary art. And that's what I've done. I make impressions of these walls, cast it in lead, pour it in other materials, work on it, and bring it into the world above ground.
And here's the finished relief. In her studio, the artist works with materials like lead, steel, and bronze. When she came to Rome 15 years ago, she found it hard to establish herself on the art scene. But she succeeded, even without financial funding, by making contacts and fighting for exhibition spaces.
It's not easy. If someone tells you no, that might mean a bit yes, or a bit no and a little bit yes. These are these cultural things which, of course, you only slowly get to grips with. At first, I found it difficult to understand all these subtleties.
More than 15 years ago, documentary filmmaker Tania Masi came from Florence to study in Berlin. Back then, there weren't so many Italians here. She was excited by the rapid changes taking place in the once divided city. Today, she lives in the trendy district of Mitte. She also edits her films here.
You have to create your own life here in Berlin. And that's what I did. As I was always observing reality, I saw that maybe now was the time to do documentary films. Because reality is so absurd, especially in Berlin, that it can only be explained through a documentary, through narrative art.
With a school friend, Tania Masi investigated the lives of her fellow countrymen in Berlin and made a film called Deutsche Vita. It tells about the survival strategies in the cold Berlin winter. Many serve up typical Italian cuisine. Others try to be artists or creative types. Italians make up the third biggest immigrant group in Berlin after Turks and Poles.
It was like a huge wave, and suddenly everybody came. All of a sudden, Berlin was in fashion. It was cool to be in Berlin. Italians love to follow fashion trends and love to be cool, so they all flocked here. We wanted to analyze the situation because the contrast between Italians and Germans is so beautiful.
Even after spending many years in Berlin, most Italians still gesture profusely with their hands.
What I find interesting about Italians is that they're very spontaneous. They're masters at improvisation. In whatever work they do, at whatever level of society or in culture, they all have this spontaneity. It's about making do with what you've got.
When you try to speak their language and when you love their country and love them, they're incredibly friendly. So I never had any problems. Nobody's ever said, "You're German, we don't want you." It depends on how you approach them.
I like that the Germans respect others. They show lots of respected work, which I find nice. They're very structured, and that's good. But sometimes it can be a little restrictive and rigid.
This installation by Janine von Thüngen is certainly well structured. It's displayed in an art collector's garden in Rome. Made from steel and red Murano glass, it supports a fallen tree. The owner and the artist have become friends.
You only have to think of Goethe, who loved Rome, and I think the Germans still do today.
Janine von Thüngen can relax while gardening with her Belgian husband. All the bureaucratic hurdles she faced when she first came to Italy are now forgotten. In Berlin, Tania Masi is out on her bike, enjoying the last sunny days of early autumn. When winter sets in, she likes to jet off to sunny Brazil. But while still in Berlin, she loves to browse around at the comic book store in her neighborhood. It also features Italian artists. No matter where she is, Tania Masi can't do without real Italian espresso. At home, it's often made by her husband William, who's Brazilian but has Italian roots. The couple share a love of film and photography.
When we married in Italy and the official said, "Will you take Tania Masi to be your wife?" he picked up the camera and started taking pictures. He never takes a break. Basta, William. We always say, "Basta, William." Enough.
Basta, William, ist was wir immer so sagen. Basta, William, halte da.
Janine von Thüngen just can't get enough when it comes to Italian cuisine, like the pizzas sold at Campo de Fiori Square in Rome. Has she become Italian?
Here in Rome, I feel like a European, but I still retain a bit of my Germanness, and sometimes I like to peddle that to the Italians.
Und die verkaufe ich auch manchmal ganz gerne an die Italiener so.
Ich fühle mich natürlich sehr italienisch.
I'm still an Italian at heart. It's my culture. It's where I come from. But honestly, I don't have a real nationality right now.
Habe ich nicht so eine richtige Nationalität jetzt. Also ich bin wirklich
I'm actually a European. I love Europe and the life here. The quality of life in Europe is incredible. But of course, at heart, I'm Italian.
Aber auf jeden Fall, mein Herz ist natürlich italienisch, ja.
The dream of a Europe without borders has come true for these two women. Tania Masi is a successful documentary filmmaker, while Janine von Thüngen is an established figure in Rome's exclusive arts scene.